Good morning, and welcome to Day 3 of the Kentucky Classic Combined Driving event, the Kunz, and the crowning of the brand new USEF National Champion Single Horse.
Up to 9:58 now, and 2 minutes away from the first drive. Once again, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Kentucky Classic CDE 2017 edition. Again, a reminder, competitors, we are running the entire preliminary division before the lunch hour. Your award ceremony will be during lunch break, and then we'll move into the NPI competition after lunch. Start the morning with the preliminary single ponies. Time allowed is 3 minutes, 23 seconds. Coming up to 10 o'clock, and the first should be entering the arena to get us underway today. Starting with the preliminary division single ponies. And first up, we'll see number 20. Coming into the arena here in reverse order of standing from the cumulative points from dressage and marathon combined.
I don't know. That's what I mean. Okay, Tracy's under it. I think they're waiting for the tone. Boy, this is the momentum. Yeah.
So, reminder, pony drivers, you need to enter the arena. Salute the jury before you hear the tone. The arena's open. We're all set for the first. Again, number 20 to start us today, Deborah Gillespie. Deborah scored a 61.75 in dressage, was in 7th place after the first day of competition. Added 171.78 penalty points on the marathon yesterday. Moved down to 11th place here in the preliminary single pony class for the Kentucky Classic CDE.
Broadcast On course right now, the first of the day. We started the morning with the preliminary single ponies, and Deborah Gillespie first on course. Coming into the arena in reverse order of standing, the accumulated points from dressage and marathon determining the placings and the order of go today. Deborah Gillespie, who scored a 61.75 in dressage, was 7th on day 1. Moved down to 11th with a disappointing marathon yesterday where she added 171.78 penalty points. Currently on a score of 233.53, making her way through the arena. 3 penalty points if a ball comes down on any of the cones she is negotiating right now. Time allowed is 3 minutes and 23 seconds. You're right, we do need more music.
Down.
So a knockdown at 10, so carrying 3 penalty points right now. She continues on course. Again, allowed time is 3 minutes and 23 seconds, so we've got another one down. Working our way through the zigzag right now, and Richard Nicol has built 2 zigzags into the course today. So carrying 6 penalty points right now for the balls down. Designer we had for the marathon course yesterday, and we have another down. Nikki Paulson, the president of the ground jury, calling the balls to us here. 14 down. We're up to 9 course penalties at this time. Used up 2 minutes and 42 seconds so far of the 3:23 allowed. One more ball down here late in the course at 18. Carrying 12 penalty points and getting close to the time here. A big finish, stopping the clock at 3:16.19. So in the time allowed with 12 course penalties. In the time at 3:16.19 on the clock. So just the 12 penalties to add on course today gives her a 3-day total of 2:45.53. 2:45.53, the 3-day total for Deborah Gillespie. Once again, your jury for the competition, unchanged from the weekend. Nikki Paulson here from Sweden, the president of the jury. He's joined by Pia Skar from Denmark, working with him up here in the tower. On the field of play, Jiri Kunat from the Czech Republic, Barry Capstick from Ireland, and Jennifer Nichols from Australia, rounding out the jury. Dr. Richard Forfy is the FEI veterinary delegate, and Tracy Laufer, FEI steward, so looking after the measuring of the vehicles after they come out of the arena. Next on course, we'll see number 10 here from Canada, Michelle Courtemanche. Had a great dressage test, scored a 48 on day 1 and was at the top of the leaderboard for the prelim single ponies. Disappointing marathon for her as well yesterday. She added 100.11 penalty points on the marathon, dropping to 10th place and a score of 148.11 starting cones. So starting on course now, we see the clock running here for the next again, Michelle Courtemanche with her entry. This is a Hannah Banana making her way around the course. You saw the volunteers in the arena with measuring sticks at the preliminary level and below each of the vehicles is measured in the dressage phase. On the dressage day, we measured the track of the rear axle of the vehicle. Competitors must use the same vehicle for this phase of competition. They must return with the same vehicle they used in dressage, and it must measure exactly the same measurement between the back wheels. These wheels are adjustable, particularly on the marathon vehicles, as you see in the ring now. The axle width can be adjusted, so the steward will make sure that the setting is exactly the same as it was for the dressage phase. And the allowance, the distance between the cones over and above the distance between the wheels, is the same for everyone. So it does have to be adjusted. As we work our way through the day, you'll see the crew in the ring changing the dimensions between the cones to give everybody the fair go that they deserve. Working with 3 course penalties at this time. I believe 8 came down.
10 down.
Is down as well. So looking at 6 penalty points so far here on course. And successfully through the zigzags, and again Richard Nicol setting 2 zigzags into this course. 11 is a 4-element zigzag, A, B, C, and D, and so is 14 heading in the opposite direction, both diagonally through the center line of the arena. And again, you're watching Michelle Courtemanche, a equine veterinarian from Ontario, Canada, here with a new partner, just starting competition at this level with Fashionista. The obstacle you just saw her drive there is an oxer. The front and back elements of the cones count equally. So well in the time, under 3 minutes, or just on the 3-minute mark, 2:58.63. With 2 balls down, and that is 6 course penalties today for Michelle Courtemanche and Fashionista. Total of 154.11 for the 3 days for this entry. And we move on next to number 28, Pat Cheatham. We move on in the order for the preliminary division single pony turnouts. This is Pat Cheatham at the arena, number 28. Pat and Sally Cheatham's entry is Elise, a Dartmoor Hackney Cross mare, stands at 11-2. Put to a WCC Pony Phaeton. Pat Cheatham scored a 66.69 in dressage, was 9th after the first day of competition. Moved up 1 placing on the marathon, finished 8th best on the marathon yesterday, adding 69.69 penalty points there. Kept him in 9th place on a 2-day score of 136.35. Again, you're watching the preliminary single ponies right now. Time allowed is 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Competitors started walking their course last night. Richard Nickel had this course set just before the dinner hour, so the competitors have had ample opportunity to walk the track and plan their strategy. Richard is one of the top course designers in the world, so he has set challenges and offered the competitors options from on the course to get from one obstacle to the other. The time well. As you watch the competition, just behind him there you see a cone with a blue band on it. Some of the cones on the course are allowed to be 5 centimeters tighter than one of those narrower obstacles right now identified with a blue. Just another degree of difficulty on those as they are closer. And a ball coming down here late in the course. 18 was down, so we're carrying 3 penalty points and starting into a time penalty territory here. Time allowed 3:23. So we will have time penalties today for Pat Cheatham as well as the 1 knockdown. 3 course penalties today. 3 on the course. Number 18 came down for Pat Cheatham. Time of 3:32.70. 3:32.70 on the clock for Pat and Elise. Penalties on the clock. 4.85 for a 3-day total of 144.20. Thank you, Bruce. The salute to the jury from Danine McGrath will start our next competitor. And on the screen, you saw a list of our very generous sponsors on the previous shot, just as we show you now Danine McGrath, the next on course. Danine scored a 67.27 in dressage, was 10th after the first day of competition. Great day on the marathon yesterday, where Danine scored a 67.39. Sixth best on the marathon yesterday. Moved her all the way up to 7th place coming into Kunz today on a score of 134.66. So just ignore the time you see on the clock there. It obviously did not reset before this driver started on course. Just picked up where it left off on the last driver. So our timers will erase that, but we have backup timers on the field of play, and they will time this entry by hand. And Nate has arrived. We are experiencing some heavy rain right now. expected to be with us for the next little while. It'll change the conditions just a little bit for the competitors, but combined driving goes rain or shine. So if we don't have any lightning, we will continue. A short-strided Haflinger pony, but moving nicely along the course here through the zigzags, up to 11 already. And coming into the second zigzag now, the opposite direction across the diagonal, 14A, B, C, and then back to D. Six more obstacles to go here on the Kunz course for Danine McGrath. Through 20, picking up the canter now, and across the finish line, Danine McGrath completing the course today. From what we saw, fault-free. No course penalties today. We'll just wait for the verified time to come in from our timers. 2:53.52, so well in the time allowed. A double clear round and no penalty points today for Danine McGrath, finishing on her two-day score of 134.66. And it looks like perhaps we have the same measurement here as we see no adjustment being made to the course. That's the signal for Sterling Graburn to start on course here with ZZ, owned by Jane Risconi. Sterling Graburn has competed up to the top level of the competitions worldwide. He's represented the United States in World Championships, single category, finishing in international competition often as the top U.S. driver. Has held the title of national champion, a single driver, on more than one occasion. Starting on course now with ZZ, driving for Jane Risconi. Sterling was third after dressage, scored a 54.84, moved down to 8th place after the marathon, where he added 79.94 penalty points. Sterling's international experience showing here as he goes into a canter. Asking the pony to come back to him there, a little bit of resistance. But if you can keep him in this frame and keep him going, he'll be well in the time allowed. Cone set at 170 centimeters right now, which is the standard FEI width. So this vehicle obviously set at FEI dimensions. Coming into the zigzag, the rollback from 10, and it came down, so Sterling is carrying 3 penalty points right now into the zigzag at 11. So carrying 6 penalties right now. 3 came down as well early on the course. So 6 penalty points in hand coming around the corner to the second zigzag. We had a tremendous audience yesterday here on the marathon course. It was great to see everybody joining us. Looks like Nate and the rain today holding them back and keeping them home. But we do have an audience here in the grandstands in the covered area, watching Sterling make his way through the late part of the course here through 20, and he'll pick up the pace here coming home to the finish line, finishing well in the time, and just those 2 balls down for 6 course penalties today for Sterling Graburn and Jane Risconi's Zizi, an Akal Teke thoroughbred cross. 6 to add to his score, a 3-day total, 140.78, so he will be in the ribbons. On in this morning's program to the next entry, number 57 is next on the order. This is Marianna Kramer. Marianna was 6th after dressage, where she scored a 60.22. 7th best on the marathon yesterday, added 68.98 penalty points. In 6th place right now, with a total of 129.20. Marianna Kramer driving Joan Thompson's pony Alibi, a 14-hand halflinger. A clear drive in the making here through the last, and clear on the cones, nothing to add to the score. Easily in the time, 2:56.20 on the clock. Again, 2:56.20 is the time for Marianna Kramer, coming home in the time and clear, a double clear drive, and a salute to the jury to complete her drive today. A 3-day total stays as the same as her 2-day total, so she is home with 129.2 penalty points for the 3 days of the Kentucky Classic combined driving event. Your sponsors for competition this weekend, providing gifts in kind. Thank you very much to Green's Toyota of Lexington, providing the courtesy cars for our officials. Mead Tractors, providing the Gators. CAA, the Carriage Association of America, with the sponsors of the welcome party and judges' lunches. Ketmoy Printing, printing our programs. The Virtual Writer, website and program production. Penn Station Sandwiches, provided the volunteer snacks and sandwiches. Hats by Katie, providing the driver's lounge in the stable area, and AL81 Bottling Company, providing the drinks for our volunteers. Thank you for your kind support of the Kentucky Classic CDE. Number 64 starting on course, one of the young drivers here this weekend. This is Anthony Kunz. He was 11th after dressage, scored a 71.49. Great day on the marathon yesterday. He was third best for the single ponies. He added just 57.58 penalty points. Moved him all the way up to 5th place, starting cones today on a score of 129.07. A ball down at 7 here on the course. And as you see on your screens at home, the clock did not start, but we do have backup timers. We'll have the time for them as they cross the finish line. Another ball down, number 10 down, so we're up to 6 course penalties at this point on the course. 10 being the midpoint of Richard Nichols' course, and into the first zigzag at 11, successfully through that. Through 12 and back to 13. One of the 2 rollbacks on the course. This is a very generous one. An open turn back to the center of the arena, and zigzag number 2 at 14 ABCD. Through the last and across the finish line, Anthony Kunz home in a time of 2:41.16. So no time penalties today. 6 course penalties for the 2 balls down, and a 3-day total of 135.07. So Marianna Kramer, who went double clear, will move up 1 spot. That will drop Anthony 1 position, perhaps 2. We'll see here as we make our way through the class. Once again, your judges for the competition this weekend are under the presidency of Nikki Paulson. Nikki here from Sweden, presiding over the jury, joined by Barry Capstick from Ireland on the field of play today, Jennifer Nichols from Australia, Jiri Kunat from the Czech Republic, all on the field of play, Pia Skar from Denmark up here in the control tower, and the technical delegates, Harry Luff, our technical delegate, assisted by Ty Nichols from Australia. We go down to number 25, next on course, Riley Wilkinson. Just putting the final touches on the course for him, adjusting the width between the cones. This is the youngest driver competing here this weekend, a 13-year-old. Riley is driving Aslan, his own Aslan, an 8-year-old Connemara, stands a 14-1. Put to a Kunle Spider Phaeton. Riley Wilkinson was 8th after dressage. On the first day of competition, he scored a 62.47 here in the dressage arena. Added 65.19 on the marathon course. That moved him up 4 placings. He's currently 4th on a score of 127.66. And a big finish to the competition for a 13-year-old Riley Wilkinson with a clear drive today, double clear, 2:37.42 on the clock. No course penalties and no time penalties. He finishes on his 2-day score of 127.66. Rain has subsided for right now. The wide shot showing you the venue here at the Rolex Arena at the Kentucky Horse Park. We continue with the single ponies here at the preliminary level of competition. Number 11 at the ring now. This is Jennifer Keeler, here, local competitor from Paris, Kentucky, with Zeppo. Young horse, this is a 6-year-old 13-hand Hackney pony. Put to a custom-made Spider Phaeton. So you saw our volunteers out on the course there setting for Jennifer the change of the track on this vehicle. Quite different from the previous one. Here at the preliminary division, they take the track width of the rear axle, so between the two wheels, add 30 centimeters at the preliminary level. As we move up in the levels, once we get up to intermediate, just 25 seconds wider. And for FEI, there is a set distance. The width is set for the entire FEI class. And then there is a minimum track width on the vehicle, so the stewards verify that. Jennifer Keeler on the track right now, scored a 56.8 in dressage, 4th after the first day of competition. Moved up to 3rd after scoring 56.27 on the marathon, 2nd best on the marathon yesterday. 2-day score of 113.07 makes her 3rd coming into the Kunz Arena. Clear drive and no course penalties, well in the time, 2:53.96. Again, the time allowed is 3:23 at this level of competition. Double clear today. So Jennifer Keeler completes the 3 days of the 2017 Kentucky Classic CDE on her 2-phase score of 113.07. So she can do no worse than 3rd place right now, with the final 2, the top 2 from the prelim single pony class yet to come. And conditions just a little soggy here in the arena. The rain coming in and leaving regularly through the morning hours. Thank you very much to the volunteers out on the course, those setting cones and working behind the scenes. Less than ideal conditions for you. So thank you very much for being part of the show. Thank you for volunteering your time. Moving on to the next, second place after 2 days of competition here at the preliminary level for the single pony turnouts. Number 18, Debra Lawrence. Debra Lawrence driving Top Secret 32. This is a German sport pony. 8-year-old, stands at 14-1. Put to a Glinkowski Spider Phaeton. The driver is an FEI 2-star qualified. This pony has competed only one full combined driving event in 2 horse driving trials prior to appearing here at the Kentucky Classic. Debra scored a 52.15 in dressage, second place on day 1 of the competition. She added 59.97 penalty points on the marathon, sitting second right now on a score of 112.12, and she is less than a penalty point away from first. Than that, less than a ball down, or less than one ball between the competitors here in the prelim single pony class, with the current leader coming into the ring next. After 2 days of competition, Kristina Whittington at the top of the leaderboard for the prelim single ponies, driving as number 33 here this weekend. Kristin is here with Harmony. Landmark Symphony is the pony, a Welsh Dutch harness cross. This is an entry of Landmark. Had the best marathon yesterday for the added just 52.66 penalty points that moved her up to top spot on the leaderboard for the prelim single ponies. Starting Kunz on a score of 111.35. She can't afford a ball. In fact, if she has one, it'll drop her to placing. just jinxed her. And unfortunately, ball down halfway around the course. Number 10 came down. So those very costly 3 penalty points will drop her down to 3rd place at this time. And back to a little bit of a heavy shower right now with Kristen finishing off her course through 15 and 16. She no doubt knows already that she has one down and has lost the first spot, but holding on to 3rd, even if she cannot do any worse than 3rd, coming home through the final cones, through the Oxer, sets 5 centimeters tighter than the rest of the course, and also 19. All the cones with the blue markers on them set 5 centimeters narrower than the rest. A big finish to the course, 2:58.53, Kristina Whittington, and Landmark Symphony home. And unfortunately, one down on course at 10 means 3 course penalties and means a 3-day score of 1:14.35, which will drop her to 3rd place. Competitors today, that's the preliminary single ponies. Moving on to single horses next. Time allowed stays the same at 3 minutes and 23 seconds. As we see the single horse, first of the single horses at the arena. Thank you very much to our premier sponsors here at the Kentucky Classic CDE. Mary Phelps of Markel Insurance, Boots and Dave Wright of We Both Farm in Ocala, Mark and Teresa Candianis from Washington, Trout Walk Farm, and Susan Giordano. Starting on course now, this is number 68, Leslie Berndl, formerly from California, now residing here in Kentucky. Leslie here with Impressive, a Dutch warm blood 16-hand gelding, put to a new Heritage Farm presentation vehicle. Impressive in his first outing, first combined driving event. And Leslie Berndl had 2 to show here this weekend. She drove in 2 separate divisions, one in the FEI. Yesterday, she wanted to drive this entry in cones, but knew that she couldn't focus on her top entry if she did the full marathon. So she started Section A of the marathon and then retired, which gave her the right to come into the cones arena. So working on a retired score right now, will not place in the class. The Rolex Arena at the Kentucky Classic. Time of 2:48.39 and double clear today. Nothing came down on course, and in the time allowed, again a retired score for Leslie Burndall, and an impressive tour of the course today, fault-free. Our gold sponsors for the Kentucky Classic 2017 edition, the National Singles Combined Pair Driving Championship Weekend. Thank you to Max and Patty Montoya, Michael and Joyce at Cowdell, Bus and Nifty Hamilton, Kate Whaley, Driving Essentials, Trout Huck Farm, and Susan Guinan. Setting the course right now for the next in the preliminary single horse class. And there's a signal from the president of the ground jury. Number 52 on course. 52 starting her tour now. Paula Simmons here with a Conan, a 16 two-hand Frisian. Put to a Pacific Light marathon vehicle. They have competed here in Kentucky at the Gala event, a former event held just across the way at Georgetown. The Hermitage Classic and the Kentucky Classic. Paula Simmons competes only on the local circuit. Paula Simmons was ninth after dressage, where she scored 64.22 on Friday. Added 152.55 penalty points on the marathon yesterday. 10th place right now in the preliminary single horse class, with number 6 down. That's 3 course penalties early on the course. So we've completed the prelim single ponies, the single horses on the course right now, with the same time allowed for the single turnouts, time allowed of 3 minutes and 23 seconds through this course of 20 obstacles designed by Richard Nickel. Paula Simmons on the course right now, carrying 3 penalty points from a ball down at 6. Another ball down on course, carrying 6 right now. In the second zigzag, the C element at 14C was down. And a solid 3 penalty points at 17. A tentative drive here, the horse in a trot through the whole course, and again these blue elements, the blue lines on the cones indicating that they are 5 centimeters tighter than the rest of the course. Total of 228.78 for number 52, Paula Simmons, who just completed her course.
So were you introducing the next one?
And coming into the arena next, number 41, Lisa Stenstrud. Lisa Stenstrud, who was 10th in dressage, scored a 67.13 on Friday, added 92.15 penalty points on the marathon. 9th right now coming into the Kunz arena on the score 159.28. So we'll see number 41 now, Lisa Stenstrud.
It looks like Carol Precious. Are we wrong here? What happened? Have we missed somebody? 51. What happened? Are we right? I thought we had Laura, of course, before this one. Laura Simmons. 41. Yeah.
And it looks like we have a change here in the order. We have number 51 on course right now. This is Carol Precious from Canada on a course, not Lisa Stenstrud. Carol Precious here from Passalinch, Ontario in Canada with a homebred Bukhara, the Holsteiner, put to a Kunle presentation vehicle. Competes up and down the East Coast at the Live Oak International, Bromont International, and Garden State. So you're watching number 51 now, Carol Precious and Bukhara. Luck of the draw puts her into this heavy shower right now.
So this is Carol Precious.
Again, the competitor here, number 41, Lisa Stenstrud, who was due in the ring next, did not show at the in-gate, so we moved up to number 51, Carol Precious, the next in the order here from Canada. She's made her way through most of the course now, up to number 12, onto the second half of the Kunz course set by Richard Nickel. When we skip a driver, we usually know. The in-gate typically tells us that, but in this weather, maybe a little bit of confusion down there at the gate, so we'll give them a bye on this one as we watch Carol complete the course through the second zigzag, now 14 A, B, C, and D. Again, the time allowed 3:23. And Carol has represented Canada in a World Championship competition with her single horse Sinatra, now driving this new home fold Holsteiner. Richard Nickel using a bending line here to the oxer. Drivers have to make sure they are straight coming into it to go straight through the two elements of that obstacle. Through the last now and onto the finish line, cutting it close on the time, 3:18:30. 3:18:30 for Carol Precious and Bukhara, the Holsteiner here from Canada. Number 3 came down for Carol Precious, and that's 3 course penalties today for Carol Precious, making her 3-day total 144.48 for the Kentucky Classic CDE. So just catching up here out at the in-gate. We'll make sure we have the right measurement for the next. Expecting to see number 67 on course next. Our bronze sponsors for the Kentucky Classic CDE 2017, Pat and Sally Cheatham, Shauna Sullivan, and Lisa Davis. Thank you very much for your support as we continue with the final phase of the competition today in the rain. Thanks to our sustaining sponsors, Roseanne and Kenneth Allen, the late Edward B. Young, Scott Monroe, Paul and Maureen Agrippa, Victoria Clevenger and Colton Parker, Paradox Farm, that's Heidi and Barry Ball, Leslie Sandberg, and Eads Hardware.
We don't know.
On next to number 67, so back in the order now with number 67 here at the arena, Carrie Ostrosky. Carrie Ostrosky, a local competitor from Lexington, Kentucky, with Idiamo, a Dutch harness horse, put to a Tittahome marathon carriage. Scored a 61-16 in dressage. They were 6th on Friday. In the marathon yesterday, they added 76.71 penalty points. Currently 7th, and just out of the ribbons on a score of 137.87. So Carrie Ostrosky, waiting for the signal to start on course, has received that now from the president of the jury, and starting through the start line, activating the clock. Again, 3:23, the time allowed. As she starts off on the course through number 1. 3 penalty points added to the score for any balls that come down on the course today. Preliminary division. Carrie Ostrosky through the first zigzag and clear at 12 onto the second half of the course now. Here in the Kunz course, a good steady trot will get you around in the time. This just a little tentative here. Perhaps the big horse today, Aidiamo, this Dutch harness horse, objecting to the rain. But should be okay on the clock, and we haven't heard anything from the jury as far as balls down on the course. A clear drive, and in the time, 3:03.70 on the clock.
3:03.70 and a clear drive today for number 67, Carrie Ostrosky, home with no penalties to add to her score.
Finishes the 3 days of the Kentucky Classic here in the preliminary single horse class on her 2-day score of 137.87. And just to clear things up here, the entry that did not show was number 52. Unfortunately, a communication breakdown between the gate and us upstairs led us to identify the drive as Paula Simmons. It was really Lisa Stenstrud, number 41, who drove. Setting was the same, so no penalty. We'll just assign those penalty points to the next competitor. As we're back on track now with Cathy Thomas at the ring, number 15. So you see here our next competitor working at will in the arena. The heavy rain coming down now steadily here at the ring at the Kentucky Horse Park. Conditions won't change much on the footing. This arena can take a lot of rain and still be safe for the drivers. Just very uncomfortable for the horses and drivers today, having to warm up in the rain and come to the arena contending with the rain. And there's the signal for the next on course. Number 15, Cathy Thomas. Cathy Thomas scored a 55.93 in dressage. She was second on Friday for the prelim single horse class. Added 81.77 on the marathon. Sixth place right now on a score 137.7. Cathy Thomas here with JD's Fario, a 16-hand Dutch harness horse put to a Glinkowski presentation vehicle. A preliminary competitor that competes up and down the East Coast, from Black Prong in Florida, the Spring Fling at the Florida Horse Park. It's also competed at Metamora in Michigan and at the Indiana CDE. Just like the human competitors, the horses all have their own opinions about rain. Some of them will take it in stride and not change too much about what they do in the ring. Some of the horses objecting, and we'll see that through the day as we go on if this rain keeps up. Trusting their driver to push them forward through the Kunz course today. Obviously, as you see on the entries as they come in the ring, rain gear is perfectly acceptable. So the drivers and grooms on the back of the vehicle will be dressed for the weather. Coming up to the 3-minute mark here on the clock, coming on the last line of obstacles through the Oxer. And a clear at 19. Watch the clock, the time allowed is 3:23. Through the 20th. And across the finish line, 3:15.91. 3:15.91 again, the time on the clock. And that was, from what we saw upstairs, a clear drive, nothing to add to the score today for Cathy Thomas, who finishes on her two-day score of 137.70. There's no change to the measurement for the next competitor, I believe. Actually, there is a change to the measurement for the next competitor, so our ring crew setting the course now for that. John Hubbell coming in next, the entry of John and Shelley Hubbell. Local competitors from Paris, Kentucky. John Hubbell driving Geladut, or Gus, a 6-year-old gelding, a Dutch harness horse. A big Dutch harness gelding, stands 16.3, put to a Glinkowski marathon vehicle. John has been driving now for 5 years, his second year here at the Kentucky Classic. Gus is in his third year of competition, moving up to and this is a big, powerful Dutch harness horse. Nice long stride, so if he keeps them in a frame and in a forward-moving trot like this, the time won't be an issue for them. A ball down at 8, so carrying 3 penalty points now for John Hubbell. And 11D was down in the first zigzag, so we're up to 6 penalty points now. There's a big Dutch harness horse. Gus looks very comfortable in his work today. It's the wheels of the vehicle just coming a little too close to the cones today. A little misjudgment there from the driver. You never want to look down at your cones. You want to keep an eye on the next one, just like you would in show jumping. Very often when you see the drivers look down at the cone to see if they hit it, they do. The carriage goes exactly where their eye goes. Through the Oxer, set 5 centimeters tighter than the rest of the course, and this following obstacle at 19, just 1 away from home now. And lots of time in hand to make the time allowed as he comes across the finish line. John Hubbell home with a 2 down in a time of 3:12.45. So no time penalties today, just the 6 course penalties to add to his 2-day score. And that's a total of 137.27, which should keep him in 5th place. Of course, these are unofficial results, just what I see here from the tower. The scores will be calculated officially, signed off by the jury for the awards presentation during the lunch break. The going is wet today here at the horse park at the Rolex Arena, but the footing standing up very well for the competition today as we have a few in a row that have the same track measurement, so just the verification of the measurement on the elements that were down for that drive, and then we'll be set for Susan Osborne, number 66, next in the order here for the preliminary single horses. We saw the ponies already this morning. The prelim single ponies have completed their class, and the organizing committee generously agreeing to do on the second half of the course now through obstacle number 12 here in the Rolex Arena and clear up to this point. Susan Osborne and Donegal, her Morgan Cross, handling the course well. And again, a horse very comfortable in the working trot, making his way around the arena. Through the zigzag now at 14 and clear on that. And a little bit of a break in the rain here for this drive. It looks like we'll have this on and off throughout the day today. Temperature down quite a bit outside. And showers coming and going as we watch Susan Osborne and the Morgan Cross Donegal coming home. Driving under number 66 this weekend. And she is clear on the cones in the time of 2:54.54. Time to spare. Double clear, nothing to add to her score. Susan Osborne will be no worse than 4th place on a score of 128.40. Up to the top 3 now, and the measurement does not change for the next, so the course is set for Charlie Freiburg, number 62. He is next in the order. 3rd place in the prelim single horse class after 2 days of competition for Charlie. It's the entry of Diana and Charlie Freiburg is Wyoming Firestorm, a 15-hand Morgan put to a Tittahome Vanguard marathon vehicle. The whip, Charlie Freiburg, in his 6th year of competitive driving. Wyoming Firestorm and Charlie have been working together for 18 months. This pair scored a 59.42 in the dressage arena. 5th place on day 1. Moved up 1 placing, or moved up 2 placings to 3rd place after the marathon yesterday, where they were 4th on the marathon. Added 68.08 penalty points. So into the top 3 now from the prelim single horse class. So Charlie Freiburg now hoping to move up 1. He is 2 penalty points ahead of, or behind 2nd place. So he needs to go clear to retain his 3rd place. And And Charlie Freiburg making a quick work of the first half of the course, a minute 33 on the clock as he went through number 10. And clear, a very comfortable horse here. Morgan's used quite a bit in the combined driving and pleasure world. A very quiet driver in the box seat, using his aids effectively. You can see Charlie talking to his horse, encouraging the horse through the course now. And HPF Wyoming Firestorm listening. Ears up, moving forward happily through the course. Coming down the final line of obstacles, again, you need to get straight to the Oxer to get through the front and back set of cones. No problem there for Firestorm and Charlie through the 2nd narrow cone and coming home. Lots of time still on the clock through the last. And a big finish for Charlie Freiburg and Wyoming Firestorm. 2:58.48 was the time, a double clear. And holding on to the spot on the leaderboard. Charlie can do no worse now than 3rd place, with the top 2 yet to come in the preliminary single horse class. change to the measurement, you can see in the arena now the large vehicle driven by Marcie Quist, so we'll be setting now to 170 centimeters. Showing our results right now for the single ponies, Debra Lawrence on a total of 112.12. Jennifer Keeler second on 113.07. Kristina Whittington down to third on 114.35. Riley Wilkinson holding the fourth spot right now on 127.66. And Marianna Kramer in fifth place. Your top five in the single pony class here at the Kentucky Classic CDE 2017. Moving on in the program now to the top two from the prelim single horse class. Course is set for Marcie Quist. And there's the signal from the president of the jury, Nikki Paulson, here from Sweden, indicating to the driver that the course is open. Marcie Quist coming to the start line with Queen of Denial. This is a hackney horse, new to combined driving, the first full season of combined driving for the horse, just 5 years old. Marcie was fourth after dressage with Queen of Denial on a score of 58.69. Had a very good marathon yesterday, third best for the prelim single horses, added 66.96 penalty points on the marathon course. Second right now on a score of 125.65. So Marcie Quist, an experienced driver, has driven up to the advanced level of competition. Favors hackney horses. She has brought a few of them along and moved them on to other competitors. A rare breed in the combined driving world. In fact, a rare breed overall, the hackney horse. A lot of hackney ponies showing in pleasure classes, but not many hackney horses. This young horse, just 5 years old, just starting his career, but very comfortable in harness here in his combined driving first season. Through the first skinny set to the oxer. Straight through that, still a penalty free. Marcie has a built-in clock, obviously, coming home well in the time. Through the last set of cones and home. Across the finish line with nothing to add to her score. 2:44.68, no time, no course penalties, and a happy Marcie Quist with a good rub from the whip for her horse. A positive experience for the horse, just the young 5-year-old completing his cones course here at the Kentucky Classic, holding on to second place on a score of 125.65. A quick course adjustment before we see the leader, just a verification of the score of the dimensions, and there's the salute from Stacy Geary. Looks like the course is set and ready for her now. Stacy, driving under number 50 this weekend, has 2 drives this weekend, one here at the preliminary level. We'll see her later on with her FEI horse as well. Driving for Ellen Tom of Cincinnati, Ohio. This is a registered Morgan, a 9-year-old gelding named Rooster. This is his 2nd outing in the combined driving world, so another novice horse. Obviously this horse is very comfortable with combined driving as they start on course now. The current leader from the preliminary single horse class, she has a 2-ball advantage coming onto the course today. A score of 57.24 in dressage, a score of 61.72 on the marathon, makes her total 118.96. Stacy Geary, ambassador of the sport, always in a good mood. You always see her smiling around the track, whether it's here in the arena or on the marathon courses, taking advantage of the developing driver program. A very proper turnout here in the arena. The very formal looking Spider Phaeton. On the back of the seat you see the spare whip. The whip is a very important part of the turnout. It's the aid that the drivers use to communicate with their horses as well as their voice. And coming around the corner there at the 10th, coming into the second half of the course, turned just a little bit tight and knocked down number 10 for 3 course penalties so far. She can afford that. In fact, she has 1 ball still in hand to retain first place. Coming down the final line now to 19 and 20, which will bring her home. Through the 20th, across the finish line in the time of 2:44.76. That means no time penalties. 3 course penalties today to add to the score for Stacy Geary. Brings her up to 121.96, and that makes her the winner of the preliminary single horse class. So once again, the awards presentation will be on foot during the lunch break. We have a couple more to see before that lunch break today. A preliminary pair of ponies and a preliminary pair of horses. So once again here at the Kentucky Classic, nothing is possible without the support of a tremendous group of sponsors, and among them this year, sponsors who have given gifts in kind to the competition. Thank you to Green's Toyota of Lexington, providing the courtesy cars for our officials. Mead Tractors provided the gaiters to cover the cross-country action on the marathon yesterday. The Carriage Association of America providing the welcome party. Thank you to Jill Ryder for the welcome party and the judges' lunches. Ketmoy Printing, printers of the programs and all the printing needed for the show. Virtual Writer, website and program production. Penn Station Sandwiches provided the volunteer snacks and sandwiches for the huge number of volunteers needed to put on the show. Thank you to Hats by Katie, providing a driver's lounge, a spot for the drivers to check up on what's happening throughout the weekend. And Ale 81 Bottling Company provided the drinks for our volunteers. The first of two remaining in the morning session now, number 16 starting on course. This is a preliminary pair of ponies driven by Megan Fullgraf. Megan is the owner and a driver here with Bayshore Pastime and a Dunbarton Double Stuffed Oreo. Two Dartmoors, a mare and a gelding, put to a Kunzman Micro Fox. They have wins under their belt in preliminary pair of ponies at Elk Creek and at Timberland horse driving trials this year. Megan Fullgraf scored a 61.16. In dressage added 70.76 on the marathon yesterday. Starting the Kunz course on a score of 131.92. Number one is down to a starter course today, so carrying 3 penalty points from the start of the course with this pair of Dartmoor ponies. These little ponies standing 11, 3, and 12 hands. People who drive Dartmoor ponies love Dartmoor ponies. They describe them as little bundles of awesomeness. These little guys pushing hard into their harness, driving forward. A good pace for this pair right now on the course. The time allowed stays the same for the ponies at 3:23. The pair of horses will be allowed just a little bit more time. For these preliminary pair, the course measured at 675 meters. The prescribed speed at this level is 200 meters a minute for the time allowed of 3 minutes 23 seconds. Through the second zigzag at 14, problem free there. So just the one ball down so far at the first for 3 course penalties. Down through the skinnies now. The bending line to the Oxer. Straight through that and 2 away from home now. Well, you're at 19. Through the 20th and coming home now. Again, 3:23 the time allowed. The time on the clock is 3:20.56, so no time penalties. And just the one ball down at 1 for 3 course penalties today for Megan Fullgraf here with Bayshore Pastime and Dunbarton Double Stuffed Oreo. Just one more drive before we break for lunch today here at the Rolex Arena for the Kentucky Classic CDE 2017. This afternoon, this program will include the 4 in hands right after the lunch break. And we're moving through the intermediate division and the 1 and 2 star, determining the champion for 2017, the USEF Singles Driving Champion, will be the winner of the 2-star singles this afternoon. One more to see before we break, and it is a pair of horses The horses driving a course measured at 720 meters at the preliminary level. Speed stays the same at 200 meters a minute, and that allows them 3 minutes and 36 seconds on the course. So starting on course now, Jenny Johnson, number 61 in the preliminary pair horse class, the sole competitor in this class, with JC Plamona, owned by herself, and Altivo, owned by Laurie Hawk. 5-year-old Andalusian mare, JC Plamona, and a 13-year-old Lusitano gelding, Altivo. They're put to a Volkskamp pair marathon vehicle. They had a great season. In 2017, Plamona as a single placed first in the training division at Southern Pines. Unbeaten Altivo was first in the preliminary single horse class at Timberland and at Pine Tree. Also wins at Katydid, Todd Hollow, and the Chesapeake Combined Test. So Jenny Johnson, Jennifer Ann Coyle Johnson driving this pair. This is her first time competing with the pair. We've seen her many seasons driving Jenny scored a 60.58 in the dressage rings, 167.42 on the marathon, just a bit slow yesterday. Through the cones right now. A little bit tougher with the pairs. The zigzag's a little bit longer, so it extends the course to 720 meters. Still running at a prescribed speed of 200 meters a minute for the preliminary division. That's about 12 kilometers an hour for a time allowed of 3 minutes and 36 seconds. Halfway around the course with nothing down into the first zigzag at 11. And spoke too soon there. 11A came down coming into the zigzag, so that's 3 course penalties up to this point on the course. Into the second zigzag now at 14, clear A, B, C, and through the D element. Back down the final line now of the skinnier cones. These set 5 centimeters tighter than the rest of the course. The bending line from 17 to the oxer at 18. And didn't quite get straight enough. The back element of the oxer came down, so carrying 6 penalty points now. Through 19 and through the 20th now, coming home to the finish line, carrying 6 penalty points. Number 11 and 18 were down. The time is good though, 3:06.36, no time penalties, just the 6 course penalties for the pair of horses. And Jenny Johnson, home with JC Plamona and Altivo. 2:34 even is the 3-day score for the pair. And again, that puts us on a break, the intermission today for the lunch hour, at which time we will be presenting the awards on foot. The organizing committee making a change in the program, allowing the horses and ponies to return to the stables and not needed for the awards presentations. I'm sure the drivers are very grateful for that. I know the horses and ponies will be. So we'll gather at the arena under the grandstand for the awards presentation during the lunch hour for the preliminary single ponies, preliminary single horses, and the pairs, Megan Fullgraf and Jenny Johnson. So I'm showing you the results we have to date for the single ponies right now. Stacy Geary leading. They have not yet been signed off by the jury, so Nikki Paulson will do that right now with our scorers and confirm the scores. Don't anticipate any changes to this. We show Stacy in the lead right now. 4 penalty points ahead of Marcie Quist, with Charlie Freiburg third, Susan Osborne fourth, and John Hubbell right now holding the 5th place. So again, scores unofficial at this time will be verified by the president of the ground jury, signed off, and we'll move to the awards presentation during the intermission.
Yeah.